Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Jay Voodoo Child, and I'm catching up on some recordings. I've cleared off my iPad, so created some space here so I can actually record these things and they actually save. That's always helpful, as I'm finding out. Again, this is just quite a learning experience for me, and so I appreciate your patience while I kind of stumble through this stuff. And hopefully there's some good information in here that can improve your game experience and you can accomplish more with your time and money that you are investing in this game. I know I really enjoyed this game, and one of the things I particularly enjoy about all gaming is this kind of theory craft and kind of finding these little niches, and fully exploring game mechanics or what have you. So, as you can see here, I've advanced quite a bit in the game, but I am missing some content that I wanted to review for these recordings in regards to the starter kit. And so let me go back to those, and we're going to go into detail about the newbie status. So newbie status, your waiting times are reduced and you receive a guaranteed minimum revenue for deliveries. So let's go down here to our factories, and I'm going to pull up the details on wait times. Alright, the normal wait time base is always a minute 30 seconds. Your occupancy can either be positive or negative. I'll explain how those conditions happen in a moment. You have a stock penalty, and sometimes there are some factories out there that are supply only and do not have a stock as required at that particular factory. In those cases, those stock penalties will always be zero, but in the case of the sawmill, it does require wood, so we have stock, and when it's not fully at full capacity, then you'll get a little bit of penalty. What the degree of that penalty is completely based on the occupancy rate. So the higher the occupancy rate, the more damage the stock penalty will cause to your wait times. You have investments. In this particular factory, I've invested once in it, and that investment gave me a little bit discount, but more importantly, that investment, since my particular corp holds more than 50% of the investments in this factory, then we get a discount on wait times, and so that's what is reflected there. And workers, I have no wait time workers, and so I get zero there. Now, if you add up all four of those categories, there's going to be 5 categories, and apply it to the base. Let's see here. You get minus 23 seconds, so a minute 7 seconds of wait time. And that's under normal circumstances. But while under newbie status, your wait time is set at 17. It's completely overridden. And so it's 17%. I'm not exactly sure what goes into that calculation. Certainly occupancy, maybe some stock influences in there. I'm not exactly sure whether the investments complete and all that. I'm sorry, 1 second. Let me get this stuff going here. I apologize for this kind of side stuff, but I want to progress on those buildings as much as possible while under newbie status. Alright, so back to our sawmill. So let me take this time to talk about occupancy rate. Every factory has a capacity to it, and in the case of this level 1 sawmill, it's 1,500 tons. And you see a timer towards the bottom. recalculation in, and that timer is a 60-minute timer, and it counts down from 60 to 0, and at 0 all the factory is on the map. Calculate how many tons were pulled out of each factory and compares that or divides that by the capacity, and that is your occupancy rate. So the last hour, or what we call factory hour, I pulled, what was it, 76% of that 1500, and that is my occupancy rate. Now, as I said here, this particular factory has a supply. It kind of requires wood in order to produce boards, and so the more the higher the stock of that wood, then I'll have a lesser stock penalty to my wait time. I'm sorry if I'm kind of stumbling through this description. Now, occupancy rates, you have a decrease in your wait times when it's below 100. At 100, there's no pluses or minus to wait times. The maximum occupancy you can ever have in any factory is 300% of its capacity. You could put in, pull out 1,000,000 tons in one factory in a given hour, and it'll still only be an occupancy of 300. The occupancy of 0 completely erases all wait time. So wait time will be 0. So if in the previous hour 0 tons were pulled out of the factory, then you'll have a 0 occupancy and you'll have a 0 wait time, regardless if the wood stock is completely gone. No matter on investments, you can have a rival which puts a negative 25% penalty to your wait times, or it's going to be a 25% penalty. So, but under 0 occupancy, there is no wait time to apply. 25% added on to 0 is still 0. So any penalties are negated with a 0 occupancy. And that's important for other elements in the game. But that's kind of the occupancy. That's how it's calculated. That's when it's calculated. But under Newbie Status, a lot of those normal factors get thrown out the window, and because of that bonus, it's set at a much lower rate than it would be normally. And let's see, what was that difference? Minute 8, did we say? 7? I'm sorry, minute 7. But now it's 17. So let me pull up one of my trains here. Now the lap time it takes to go from the warehouse to boards and back again is 1 minute and 29 seconds, and that's with that 13-second wait time at boards. There's another wait time to pick up wood from the warehouse, but if I added in another 50 seconds or whatever the difference is, that would increase my total lap time, and that would reduce the number of laps that I could do in a particular hour. And that means the less revenues I will be getting for making deliveries. Now, the second part of the Newbie Status is you have a guarantee of deliveries, or a guarantee on, I'm sorry, let me pull that up again. Guaranteed minimum revenue for deliveries. So, at this warehouse, it has every good can be received and pulled from warehouses. That's what makes them so wonderful. But as you can see here, to make a delivery to the warehouse, you'll get paid these various amounts. And as I've said in one of the videos, maybe it was one of the chopped videos, every good in the game has a base value, and then it's kind of put through a formula that has a lot to do with how far the nearest location or that source is from your current location, and that influences the price. So coal is a little bit further away than grain, Actually, I think it's the same. Actually, it may be to a different location. So again, the warehouse is centralized between several cities, so I'm not actually exactly sure where the nearest coal is and where the nearest grain is. But anyway, so coal is a little bit further away than grain is, and so that pricing will be worth value, will be more valuable because it will take you longer to actually deliver coal to this factory than it is to deliver grain. And wood is one track away, so it's greatly reduced. But all these prices are greatly inflated under newbie status because I'm not exactly sure what the percentage is, but I think, well, as I was seeing in an earlier video, when boards was completely empty, and so it's again a supply and demand situation with pricing. So the less supply you have, the more willing or the higher the payout is for making a delivery. But when boards was empty, before I even showed up here, the price to deliver boards was still $265. I need to double check that. But I believe that is the case. I may be looking at the wrong thing. But regardless, to have a completely full warehouse on boards and still be paid $265, that's an incredible value, and that's a lot of money. And because under newbie status you have that reduction in wait times, you're making more laps, you have the capacity to hit that 265 payout more often. And just those two elements together create a lot of revenue for you. And that's why it's important to kind of focus all that revenue into getting your engine houses, your labs, your banks, and get those critical starter kit items, to level those up as much as possible. That way the bonuses will kind of save you money in making that next purchase. So in this case, I may spend, or excuse me, I can not spend $2 million in game cash to get a lab bonus. I think that's what the lab bonus I actually got with the starter kit. And so that's 200 million, or it's going to be 2 million that I can apply to another project. And so having that extra revenue savings is so very important, on top of the incredible money you're making with the newbie status. And engine houses produce a lot of revenue from the trains that you're able to field with those. Labs are very important because the sooner you get to those nice engine upgrades, the more money you can make and the faster you can start making that new money. At a certain point, it becomes useless because you have a fixed amount of time in every era, you have a fixed amount of research available to you, and you kind of want to hit that safe balance that you reach your goals in timely manner. But you really don't want to go crazy over that because sometimes you can fill up all of your research. And yes, you got to those important things quicker, and that is important for making money and making prestige. But sometimes it's kind of wasteful because you're not doing anything with that research for, sometimes days. And maybe you would have gotten more value out of having a higher building in another category than having that high of a lab and to generate that research point income. So those are some of the details on why the newbie status is so important for generating revenue. And it's only around for 48 hours at the start, available for every player. And then again, that can be doubled if you spend some gold during the previous round in game. So I believe that's all I want to say for this segment. Hopefully it's recording and I can get onto some of the other elements that I'm missing and kind of wrap up this series. So until then, take care and thank you for listening.